Hello guys, Combat Critic here. In this video, I want to give my thoughts on main event of UFC 285, which is Jon Jones coming after a 3-year layoff versus Ciryl. So I'll be giving my picks for this fight. What do I think will win? So this is Jon Jones. Last time he fought was back in 2020, where he beat Dominic Reyes. But a lot of people think that it's a robbery and Dominic Reyes should have won the fight. And this is Ciryl Gane. In his last fight, he KO'd Tai Tuivasa, and before that, he lost a close decision to Francis Ngannou. The fight was pretty even going in the fifth round. It was 2-2, and in the last round, Ciryl Gane dared to be great and he went for a heel hook, and that ended up costing him the fight. So yeah, let's start with the breakdown. So here I have some stats for these two guys. So Jon Jones, as we can see, has 26 wins and 1 loss, and also 1 no contest. So he has 28 fights in total. If we look at his KOs, he has 10 wins by KOs, 6 by submission. So yeah, little less by submissions. 10 by decisions, no disqualification wins, and 1 no contest. This no contest came against Daniel Cormier, and he failed a drug test and actually won this fight, but USADA came and said that Jon Jones just failed a drug test, so they declared it a no contest. If we look at the losses of Jon Jones, he only has 1 loss. That was a DQ loss to Matt Hamill, which happened back in 2009, and it's a pretty controversial loss. A lot of people, including Joe Rogan, have said that they should not count this as a loss, and I also believe that. So for a lot of people, Jon Jones is still undefeated. He has 0 losses. Now let's look at Ciryl Gane. So he has 12 matches, so way less experience than Jon Jones, less than half the fights. He won 11 fights and lost 1 against Francis Ngannou. By knockout he has 5 wins, by submission 3, and by decision he has 3 wins, and in losses he lost 1 via decision. This was a pretty close fight where it was 2-2, going in the 5th round. In the last round, Ciryl Gane took down Francis Ngannou, and he could have stayed on the top and stole the round and won a decision, but instead he went for the finish, and he basically went for a leg lock, but Francis Ngannou escaped it and just laid on top of him and won the round. So that's how he lost the fight. Now let's look at some other statistics. For Jon Jones, height is not 6'4". This is a wrong stats. Jon Jones is more like 6'6". If you don't believe Jon Jones is 6'6", just Google a picture of Jon Jones standing next to Johnny Walker. So Johnny Walker, we know, is 6'6", and in the picture you will see Jon Jones is at least as tall as Johnny Walker. Both are of the same height. So this is not 6'4", this is actually 6'6" for Jon Jones. And for Ciryl Gane, let's assume that this is the right height. So we see that Jon Jones has a 2-inch height advantage. Weight is 205, but we don't know. So this was back when he was fighting at light heavyweight. Now he'll be moving up at heavyweight. Some people say he weighs close to 250, 255 pounds right now. Ciryl Gane almost always weighs close to 245, 246, 247 pounds. So this is a big question mark for Jon Jones, and we'll see whether his bulking is really, paying off or not. And for reach, he has an 84-inch reach, which is a lot. And Ciryl Gane is also not small. He has an 81-inch reach, but still 3 inches less than Jon Jones. So again, Jon Jones has a 3-inch reach advantage. Both guys are orthodox. Date of birth 87, 90. So yeah, 3 years older. Now let's look at the striking numbers. So strikes landed per minute, which is the number of strikes you land on your opponent in a minute, is 4.3 for Jon Jones compared to 5.11 for Ciryl Gane. So yeah, Ciryl Gane has the advantage in the strikes landed per minute. Striking accuracy is 57% for Jon Jones, whereas it is 59. So yeah, both guys, I'll say, are pretty even in the striking accuracy. Now strikes absorbed per minute, which is how many strikes you absorb from your opponent every minute. So this is 2.22 for John Jones and 2.25. So again, I'll say very similar for both these guys. Striking defense is 64% and for Ciryl Gane it is 62%. Again, very even for these both these guys. So from here we will see that all these guys, both these guys have similar striking accuracy, strikes absorbed per minute, and striking defense. But the main difference comes in the strikes landed per minute. So Ciryl Gane is a little more busy on the feet, and John Jones is a little less busy. Now let's come to the wrestling part. We obviously know John Jones has a huge wrestling advantage in this fight, and a lot of people are picking him because of his wrestling. So his takedown average is 1.85 compared to just 0.62, so almost 3 times less. Takedown accuracy is 44% compared to just 21%, so again John has a advantage in takedown accuracy as well. Takedown defense is 95%, which is really great, and compared to Ciryl Gane, who just has 55%. Submission average is 0.4 for John Jones and 0.5, so almost similar, even though Ciryl Gane has had a lot less fights and just 3 wins via sub, but John Jones has a lot more fights, so in proportion his submission average goes down, 0.4 and 0.5 for Ciryl Gane. So again, we already knew this, that John Jones will have an advantage in wrestling. So in the striking, I say it will favor Ciryl Gane slightly because he is more accustomed to fighting heavyweights, and number 2, he's more busier on the feet. For John Jones, we don't really know how good he will be at heavyweight, and also his strikes landed per minute are a little less than Ciryl Gane's. So let's move on to the next. So here I have some of the past fights of these two guys. Let's look at John Jones first. So this was in February of 2020. So almost 3 years ago, he fought Dominic Reyes, who was undefeated at the time. Won a unanimous decision. A lot of people say this was a controversial robbery, and I also think that Dominic Reyes won the fight. And before that, he won a split decision against Thiago Santos, and this was also a split decision, so the fight was really close. This was in July 2019. Before that, he won a decision unanimous against Anthony Smith, and this is the last time he actually finished somebody. That was Alexander Gustafsson back in 2018 via KO in the 3rd round. Before that, he had the NC, which was actually a KO win, but then he failed a drug test. So this is the DQ that he has, no contest, sorry, that he has on his resume. Before that, he won a unanimous decision, but this was way back in 2016. So we see that from April 2016 to now, John Jones has had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just 6 fights. Just 6 fights for John Jones. And if you look at Ciryl Gane, so from 2019 August, he has had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9 fights. So this guy is a lot more busy in recent times, and John Jones really, if you look at 2016 to 2019, he just had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fights in 4 years. So this guy has been a lot more busier, and then John Jones also took a 3-year layoff to bulk up for this heavyweight division. Now let's look at Ciryl Gane. So he just KO'd Tai in the 3rd round. Before that, he lost a decision to the champion Francis Ngannou. This was a pretty close fight, and Francis probably outweighed Ciryl Gane by, I'll say, 40 pounds on fight night. So Francis was probably 285 or something on the day of the fight. So yeah, so if people are saying that John Jones will be much bigger than Ciryl Gane, yeah, he might be a little bigger, but then he'll not be bigger than 285 pound Ngannou. So it's not like Ciryl Gane has never dealt with bigger opponents in the past. He has dealt with a lot. Then we have a TKO win against Derek Lewis. This was in 2021, 3rd round TKO. and before that unanimous decision against Alexander Volkov, unanimous decision against Rose Strike, elbow TKO of Junior Dos Santos, unanimous decision over Tanner Bosser, Dontel Miles submission via heel hook. So we know that Ciryl Gane likes to pull off heel hook submissions. Before that he had an arm triangle choke over Rafael Pessoa, so that was in the first round. So we see that Ciryl Gane has shown some submission abilities, some knockout abilities. He has a TKO, a KO, a TKO over here, some submissions, also some decision wins also. Whereas if we look at John Jones, John Jones has had a lot of submissions and KO wins before 2016, but if you look at in the past 5, 6, 7 years, he has not had a lot of stoppages. His last 3 fights were a robbery loss to Dominic Reyes. I'll call it a loss because I think that Dominic Reyes won the fight, and before that he went hard 5 rounds against Thiago Santos, which was a split decision, and before that he just won a unanimous decision. He could not finish Anthony Smith, and only before that you have one KO loss against Alexander Gustafsson, and this was after a 1.5 year layoff. So this is the only KO that finish basically that he has in the last since April 23, 2016. Whereas if we look at Ciryl Gane, so we know he has the power and he carries it late into the round. It's not that he is only getting a KO in the first round, he also gets it in the third round, again here third round, second round. So yeah, he carries the power with him in the later rounds as well. So if you look at the odds, so John Jones is a favorite on the betting line, and I get it why people are picking John Jones to win, but if you ask for my pick, I'll think that John Jones has probably faded a little bit, and also his time off has probably we know he has a lifestyle of partying and all those things, so his time off might not be very well utilized outside the octagon. So because of his inactivity in the cage, if you ask for my pick, who will be the winner, if I have to put my money on one guy and the odds are also favoring the underdog, I'll pick the underdog, which is Ciryl Gane. How does Ciryl Gane wins? I think it will be a decision win for Ciryl Gane, and if not a decision, maybe he gets a submission. I don't see him finishing John Jones because John Jones is a really good striker, even though Ciryl Gane is also a good striker, but I think he will not be able to finish John Jones on the feet. It will be either a submission in the late rounds or a 5-round decision. So that's it for this video. I'll see you guys in the next one.